Hello EU4 players, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to revoke the Privilegia starting as Austria very fast. I would like to preface that I recommend on intermediate and expert players this strategy, and before I get anywhere I will have to say that there is a bit of RNG at the very start, but otherwise the RNG is actually quite minimal. So first things first, you have to make sure that the rivalries are set, and here are the rivalries that need to be set. Burgundy cannot rival you is the very first thing, and secondly, Poland has to not rival both Hungary and Bohemia. So in this case right here, this is a golden start position because Bohemia has decided to rival Poland, but Poland did not rival back. Now the reason I preface this is that in the Polish mission tree, their starting mission requires that they either ally or rival both Bohemia and Hungary. So in this case, Bohemia is neither. And as Austria, we are going to be PUing Bohemia right from the beginning, so we'll actually just lock Poland out of the mission tree entirely. And now, let's get started. As you can see, we've been rivaled by the Ottomans, Lithuania, and France, which is actually quite good. So we're going to actually rival all of them back. Lithuania will likely become a personal union partner over Poland, so when they do, that'll be free power projection. Alright, so let's get to the estates. From the clergy, we're going to be taking the monthly admin power and religious diplomats. We are not going to be taking the monthly military power from the nobility quite yet. We're going to wait until we can seize land a second time. And that's because having under 10% crown land will harm your economy. But do take supremacy over the crown. From the burghers, we are taking the monthly monarch power, patrons of the arts, in debt to the burghers, seize land, summon the diet. Take this one. Set your army maintenance to 0. And then in advisor screen, Austria always starts with this scripted improve relations advisor. Buy him. And I do recommend that you also buy level 1 advisors for the other 2 positions to get more monarch points. And then now we can send out our diplomats. First thing, we're going to send an alliance with Burgundy. And then we're going to send a marriage to Castile. And with the third diplomat, we're going to improve relations with Saxony. Now that our diplomats have returned, we're going to be improving relations with more electors. For Austria's first mission, we need 5 of the electors to have 100 opinion and are voting for us. So that's what we're going to be doing in the first few years. Do not improve relations with Bohemia though. They are the only ones that you do not do. I do recommend that if you have a notification from the Palatinate, you should definitely marry and ally them. Alright, so in this case, Trier decided to improve relations with us at the same time. So we're going to wait for one more month tick. And now we'll remove him. Alright, let's check the Palatinate. Alright, so the Palatinate has been rivaled by Saxony, so we're not going to ally them quite yet, but we will send 4th diplomat to improve with Cologne. And then we just have to wait for another tick. Move from Saxony, and since the Palatinate, alright, let's check this. So we already have 3, so we'll start improving relations with the Palatinate to make it just a little bit faster, and then we can revoke the diplomat from Brandenburg. And I recommend that once you have a free diplomat, start building a spy network on Bohemia. I also recommend that once you have another free diplomat from the electors, you start improving relations with the Teutonic Order in order to fire the imperial incident that can let them join the empire. Alright, so now that we're getting really close to finishing the mission, I highly suggest that you start raising up your armies to 40,000 men. And the reason that I say this is because as Austria, manpower will not be an issue, so do not use mercenaries throughout this game. Money is going to be a bigger problem than manpower. I would also like to mention that Austria has this gold mine at the start, and it's going to be your bread and butter, so I highly suggest that you do start debbing it up quite a bit in order to make some money. Alright, so after allying with Cologne, we are finally able to complete this mission. And now we're going to be preparing the war against Bohemia. Alright, let's ally the Palatinate as well, just for them to be there. And we're going to be making our ruler of general and we'll recruit another general. You want to aim for siege pips, but in this case, we sadly could not. But having a 5-shock general is also not bad as either. Now we just gotta wait a bit for our army morale to come back. And this is optional, but I'm gonna do it in this playthrough. We can rival Bohemia right before the start in order to get some power projection when we win the war. And as you can see, we can already call Burgundy into this war. And that's because we gain a lot of favors from them. So what we're going to do is we're going to call Burgundy to fight this war with us, and it'll be easy. And since we waited for the start of the month, as you can see, Bohemians did not have their fort turned on. Let's wait for them to walk off. As you can see, they are. And what we're going to do is we're just going to sit on these 2 forts for the war. As you can see, we have just triggered the incident to get the Teutons into the empire. And we're going to be choosing this option because, as you can see, we gain a lot of imperial authority from it. I also almost forgot to mention, but during this war, we will start building a spy network on Hungary. Alright, now that Prague has fallen, we're immediately going to send our army to occupy the Bohemian gold mine. And there we go, the second fort has just fallen. So we're going to start carpet sieging the Bohemian lands. And that should be enough to let us win the war. Alright, after carpet sieging the rest of Bohemia, we're able to peace out the war. And all we'll need is just to take the Union. And as you can see, since we rivaled them, we gained 60 power projection. Alright, so after the war, we'll just send our armies back. Take this mission. Do not take this mission. It is not needed right now. Now, it is RNG, but if Brandenburg does not get the Neumark event, we'll be able to actually get this mission. And I suggest that if you can, do take that mission. But for now that we've entered peace, we'll revoke our spy network from Bohemia, send a diplomat to improve relations, and there you go. Now that the imperial incident is done, we're now able to take the first reform. But now let's send improve relations. Alright, let's let our armies recover to full strength. Alright, now that our armies are back to full strength, we're going to be setting army maintenance to 0. Do always put it to 0 during peacetime so that you can keep making money. And I'll dip the gold mine just a little bit. So now we're going to enter just a little bit of peacetime so that our aggressive expansion can die down, so that we can fight our next target, which will be Hungary. And the spy network is just for sieges. We're not going to be taking any claims quite yet. I also almost forgot to mention, but I suggest that with your fleet, you should sell them off because you are definitely not going to be using them. Alright, so throughout your game, you'll be getting these notifications for unlawful territory. Whenever someone can say yes, always do it. So in this case, we're going to do it on this province because we can release another prince. And then now we'll do the same with Brandenburg. You're going to want to be doing this for a long time because bullying the princes of the HRE will be very critical throughout this game. And I was about to say that we're now going to start the war with the Hungarians. They do have that good relations modifier, so what we're going to do is just send it insults. Now it is not required, but you can rival them. And I think in this case, I'll rival them, so that it'll be much easier to take land. But regardless, we are now going to be declaring war on them. And we'll call Burgundy in. And the peace deal that I highly recommend in this war is this. I know it is very much border gory, but doing it this way means that Poland nor the Ottomans will be able to expand into Hungary. And also, this will give us a gateway right into Bosnia and Serbia. At some point, you may notice this usurp the electorate come up. And I highly recommend that you don't take it. It's just a waste of imperial authority. Only use it if you are overflowing on imperial authority and have nothing else to spend it on. Alright, after just a few short years, quick and easy war. As you can see down here though, very little aggressive expansion. And I know you guys probably are going to hate this peace deal, but I'll show you how to clean it up after. So we're not actually going to be keeping the land to ourselves. We're actually going to release Transylvania, and then we'll keep these provinces for ourselves for now. We'll core the rest. All right, let's send our armies back. We'll send armies there and there. And now your next target is will either be Venice or Serbia. And in this case, since Serbia is still alive, we'll actually start building a spy network on them and go after them. Alright, now that we finally got our claim on the Serbians, we're going to be declaring war on them, co-belligerent Bosnia. It's very important that I immediately kill off their army, just like that. And what we're going to do with these two is we're going to full annex them and then immediately release them as vassals. So at some point this event might pop up, and I suggest that you choose the second option because you'll be able to use the expand empire casus belli on them later. And the first government reform has just come up right now, and we're going to be choosing the manpower. Since Bosnia starts as Catholic but has a lot of Orthodox land, what we're going to do with them, we're going to make them a vassal, and that gives us a free war against Herzegovina. And then with Serbia, we are going to just eat them whole. Just eat them whole, take all the money, bang. And now we have a free war against Herzegovina, but as soon as we peace out the war, we're going to release Serbia as another vassal. With the war against Herzegovina done, we're going to release Serbia. And then from the nobility, we are going to be taking strong duchies, seize land, and now we can take the monthly military power. So now we are in a very good position with 3 vassals and a personal union subject. And now pretty soon we're going to be attacking Venice with the imperial ban casus belli. So this is really early for this to happen, but I think that for the sake of the guide, I'm actually going to Alt F4 out of this, because this is very unlikely to happen to you guys, and it would be unfair to show you the perfect scenario. Now that Tech 5 has come upon us, we're going to take Admin Tech 5. We are not going to be taking Diplomatic Tech 5 because we're immediately going straight into diplomatic ideas, and at this point we are only going to be using all of our diplomatic points for diplomatic ideas. Do not buy any diplomatic tech, only diplomatic ideas for now. So I just noticed that all of Venice's allies are gonna say no, which I think is kind of funny, but now we're gonna jump on them. So from the peace deal, we're gonna be returning Milan's cores. We're going to release all these 4 nations right here. Although it is optional, but I don't think you can get enough war score, but you can also release Montenegro. But that's if you can. So I've just noticed that Hungary has Ladislaus Postumus as their king. Normally this is not supposed to happen, but the thing is, under no circumstances do we want Hungary to join us in a personal union. So we are going to be disinheriting him. And just like that, Hungary no longer has him as well. I would also like to mention that one of the primary reasons that I've been calling Burgundy into all these wars is that I want France to expand and take the province of Verdun from Provence, because it is part of the empire. Because this will allow us to gain a very special casus belli that we can use against the French later. Alright, so the Imperial Shadow Kingdom has just fired. And we are going to choose to rein in the Italians. The heir is good, but the problem is that since it is a daughter, we'll have to pass the pragmatic sanction in order to let her be an heir. But that costs us way too much imperial authority, so we're going to have to say no. Alright, this event allows the gold mine that we have to become even stronger. Alright, now that the imperial incident has just finished, we want to enact this decision that will let us reign in Italy, and to do so, all the princes that are named right here need to either have 150 opinion of us, an alliance, is a subject, or we've beaten them in a war. Alright, so unfortunately, the Ottomans managed to occupy one of the Dalmatian provinces, so I won't be able to release Dalmatia, but I will be able to take a lot of Venice's money instead, and we'll take, well, I guess no war reparations. And there we go, war with Venice is done. And now we have a lot of opinion from Milan. So now we're going to use all of our diplomats to start improving relations with all these Italian nations. Burgundy's use for us has pretty much expired. But, alright. So, there are 2 options that you can do with Burgundy at this point. Either you can keep your alliance with them in hopes of getting the Burgundian inheritance, or you can break your alliance and use the Imperial Band casus bellis on them in order to remove as much land as they own or their subjects own from the empire. And I think in the case of this guide, I will be keeping Burgundy as an ally and just wait it out. But if you're not a fan of RNG, I highly suggest that you take the latter option and just break the Burgundian alliance and just kill them. I also suggest that now that we have reached Admin Tech 5, that you change your national focus away from admin, and you can either choose between diplomatic, military, or no focus at all. And I think in this case we'll actually just turn off the admin focus. Well, would you look at that, the Ottomans have released the Dalmatia for us. Alright, now that Bohemia has annexed their 2 Silesian subjects, we are able to take this mission. They'll give us permaclaims on Poland. And now, what I'm about to say is very important, but we do not want to attack Poland just yet. We actually want to wait until we can get this idea. And that's because with this amount of province war score cost, it'll be just enough where we can take all this land in just a single war. Alright, now that the combat width has increased to 22, we're going to be recruiting some more armies. And in October, we are going to be declaring war on Hungary again. Normally, I would advise to try to reign in Italy as fast as possible, but as you can see, our imperial authority is quite too high that we would be overflowing. So we're going to wait until we pass the second reform before we reign in Italy. And now, with just one more month tick, we can now go to war with Hungary once again. And we're going to set the war goal to Pozzoni. And let's go. Here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. This is all it's all about. France declared war on Provence. They should take the province. And I was just checking because I saw the Imperial Authority counter go way up, and that's because the Livonian Order has just joined. So for the peace deal against the second Hungarian War, I'm gonna take these 2 provinces for the mission, as well as these 3 down here. Give back some of the cores. We don't want to take too much land because we don't want to get too much aggressive expansion, especially for the Italians. Now, and I'll also take all their money. And I think I'll take the time to actually mention this right now, but do not add any of this land to the HRE. Do not, under any circumstances. I'll also recommend that you don't use concentrate development because you want these provinces to be as developed as possible. If you do get an event like this one where you can take a province from Bohemia, I do suggest that you do take the province. And just like I thought, we now have the imperial ban on the French. And that is very interesting. As much as I would like to declare war on them, I think for the sake of this guide, I'm going to refrain from doing so. Alright, so what I'm about to do is one of the examples of how to properly use imperial authority. As you can see, we can barely take the next reform. And because my emperor has finally died, we gain another 10. And now that we are finally past another reform, we're going to definitely try to reign in Italy. And we only need a few princes for that. Alright, so after sending a few gifts and a royal marriage with Bologna, we can now reign in Italy, which will give us 25 imperial authority. And now we're at 40. And now if we just wait a few months, the imperial incident where the Pope can join the empire should start. Right now that the third government reform has come, I suggest you take expanded in royal court. Alright, so here comes the most critical part of possibly the most critical part of the whole playthrough. The Ottomans have finally begun their attack against the Mamluks. This is your time to strike. What we're going to do here is we are going, let's just take some crownland first. We're going to raise just a few more armies. And we are going to go on the attack against the Ottoman Empire. We do not use the Holy War CB against them because your vassals will just die. So anyway, we need to prepare. The Pope in the Empire event still has not fired, but we're going to immediately start building a spy network. At the moment, no one is actually strong enough or willing to declare war. Only the French would. Poland likes us, so they're not going to. Tech-wise, we are actually on par, so we're going to raise some generals. Sadly, we do not have artillery quite yet, but this is the time to attack. As you can see, bang, If we let the Ottomans go off, they will become too strong to fight, so we're going to do it right now. And for the war goal, we'll set it to this province right here since it's right next to us. So basically, the best thing to do in the Ottoman war is to just rush your troops right onto Constantinople, so that you can control the choke point that's right here, and your vassals will be able to occupy the rest of the Balkans for you. So as you can see, we've just made it onto Constantinople. And there's the Pope in the Empire event, like I have stated before. So we're gonna vote to let them join. Now I'm hoping that I do get we're gonna tell Bohemia to go to Selinik because it's a port. There they go. Commandant just died, so we're going to buy a new one. Or at least try to. Ottomans are wow, what betrayers. Anyway, as you can see, the Ottomans started rushing down to Syria, but they've already started pulling back. That's because they want to come to us now. They have raised way more men. But with this strategy, we've now forced the Ottomans into a massive two-front war. And there's a wall breach. That is exactly what I wanted. So now I'm going to show you a little trick on what to do with wall breaches. So now, with every passing day, we're going to press Shift K. Well, I guess you can just hold Shift and just keep spamming this button with every passing day. And there we go. Constantinople has fallen. And now at this point in the war, it should be really easy, because now the Ottomans will either have to go through this choke point or will have to cross all the way around. But that is how you deal with the Ottomans in the early game. So now for the rest of the war, I'm just going to have my two armies just sit right next to these two provinces. Now if we look over here, the Ottomans, I don't know where they are. They might be going around, like I said. Just as I predicted, the Ottomans have in fact gone around. So I'm going to send one of my armies to help with the Bohemian siege, and the other one to deal with them up there. At this point in the game, the Ottomans' most deadly thing is their massive siege ability, so you need to be careful to not let them win the siege races. But since this fort has been breached, we are going to launch an assault. Alright, now that that siege is won. Oh boy, that's not good. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. Alright, this is not the end of the worlds. So what we're gonna do is we'll retreat down here. It appears that the Ottomans have decided to bring their entire military might down on me. This is typical AI behavior. The AI will always go after the player first and foremost. In order to counteract this, we will put our... Sadly, the war enthusiasm is still high. I wonder if it's because it's just from the length of the war. We'll let them come to us. Alright, so after some maneuvering and some decisive battles, we've pretty much won this war. All we're going to take is these three provinces here, two of Serbia's cores. We'll probably take some money. And I have just finished diplomatic ideas, and and once you do, you can start taking diplomatic technology. And from these two provinces, we're going to be releasing Byzantium and Bulgaria. And since we do have we are overflowing a bit on imperial authority, we will seize the electorship. And there we go. After this war, the Ottomans are no longer going to be a threat against us, since we control the choke point now. And since we did it so early, Byzantium still has the core in Constantinople. And there you go, it's now Greek again. So our next target is going to be the Polish. Since we finished diplomatic ideas, it'll be very easy, so we'll start with the spy network. We are overflowing a bit on administrative points. Sadly though, our heir is going to be very bad for a king, but I had to do what I should say I was very desperate for an heir, so I had to keep him. And also it's very critical, but you should only be using the Expand Empire Casus Belli against small, Italian nations. Oh, that's so unfortunate. I just noticed that they could be in the Empire. I think we could use it on Riga. Yeah. But regardless, we are going to be going after Poland.